Alright, thank you for watching my YouTube channel. This is the next installment on this series. Differences in the stories between those in the Quran and the Bible. Stories that should be the same because they're about the same people. In the Quran, Muslims must fight or God will punish them. In other words, he seems to need a big army. This is in Surah 3, Ayah 167 and 195 where we see this. In the Bible, God seems to prefer smaller armies. For example, God used Gideon to kill 10,000 Philistines with the jawbone of an ass. And later he killed more people than that by knocking an entire building down with the strength of God. We read about these stories in Judges 6, 7, 8, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 2 Samuel 24. Gideon had an army of 10,000, and God told him that was too much and told him to take some people out of the army. God wasn't satisfied until the army had less than 400 people in it. And King David got in trouble with God for counting his people. He probably was counting his people to see how big of an army he could field to fight wars. In the Quran, God makes a thunderbolt, sees Israelites, and lifts up a mountain above them. This is in Surah 4, Ayah 153 through 154. There are no comparable stories in the Bible. And we have stories from that time period and with those characters. So that goes under the category of not polar opposites, but not the same thing we see in the Bible, and it's the same characters. In the Quran, David and Solomon are listed as prophets. Surah 4, Ayah 163. In the Bible, they are never called prophets. In fact, in the Bible, King David and King Solomon both start off on the right foot, but they don't keep following God's commandments, and they do not keep their hearts turned towards God. In the Quran, Jesus is spared from being on the cross. Surah 4, Ayah 157. In the Bible, Jesus is crucified. There's more than one verse I could cite that points that out. In the Bible, we see that Jesus chose that. He could have called down angels to prevent the crucifixion, but he did not. And in the Bible, it's clear that Jesus being crucified was God's long-term plan. In the Quran, Jesus is only a messenger of God. Surah 4, Ayah 171. In the Bible, he is the Son of God. And in the Bible, he definitely calls himself I Am, when he said to the Israelites who were about to stone him one time, even before Abraham was, I am. And that I Am means he's proclaiming his godhood. The Book of Mormon is even more explicit on this point, but I digress because this is the Quran and the Bible compared, not the Quran and the Book of Mormon compared. In the Quran, there were two unnamed Israelites who said the same thing as the other Israelites. They were scared of the Canaanites and they would not fight them. Surah 5, Ayah 23. When we read Numbers 14, we get a different story. In the Bible, Joshua and Caleb said the opposite of what the other Israelites said. They thought that the Lord could deliver the Canaanites into their hands, and they were willing to go from day one. In the Quran, Adam has two sons. The one who kills the other is more bold and upfront about his murderous plans. The Quran does not name these two sons, but in the Bible there are two sons, and one kills the other, so this we can call should be the same story because we got the right numbers of people. And in the Quran, this is in Surah 5, Ayah 27 through 30. The murdered son tells the murdering son that the murdering son will be punished for the murdered son's sins. That is bizarre to me. There is nothing like that in the Bible where one person's punished for another person's sin. Maybe in the Bible there are some people who have some difficulties because of their parents. But we're not talking about parents here. We're talking about someone sideways on the family tree. The Quran claims that the lordship of Jesus of Nazareth is disproven because he ate food. This is Surah 5, Ayah 75. This presupposes that God can't eat food. And this belongs on my list because there's nothing in the Bible that prohibits God from eating food. In the Quran, Jesus created birds from clay and made those birds come to life. This is Surah 5, Ayah 110. In the Bible, there is no comparable story. And last but not least for this episode, in the Quran, Jesus makes a table come down from heaven with a feast on it. This is Surah 5, Ayah 112, verses through 115. In the Bible, there are miracles relating to food, so this one is not on the list because it is a polar opposite. But when Jesus did the miracles that we read about in the Bible, he never made a table come down. Thank you for watching. Remember, we should all read the Quran so we find out what's in it. So we know if those people who accuse the Quran of being peaceful are right or wrong. And if you want to find out about any other religion, read their book. If you want to find out about Mormonism, read the Book of Mormon and the Bible. Not some obscure quote from somebody who maybe was a Mormon, maybe even a Mormon leader of some mid-level. Thank you. Have a good day.